Carnival of Cricket begins in India. 10 teams will battle it out over 46 days to be crowned world champions. Holders England kickstart the proceedings against New Zealand in a rematch of the 2019 final. We will get you all the insights and analysis here on WION World of Cricket. So sit tight as we begin our preview to the ICC World Cup with 1996 World Cup winning coach and WION's in-house expert Dav Whatmore.
Hello and welcome to Wion World of Cricket with me, Digvijay Singh Dio. Less than 24 hours to go before the 2023 Cricket World Cup gets underway. I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by Dav Whatmore, Sri Lanka's 1996 World Cup winning coach, also someone who's coached Sri Lanka to, you were telling me, the 2003 semi-finals.
That's right.
But in India, we remember him all too well because he was coach of that squad, Bangladesh squad, which knocked India out in the first round of the 2007 World Cup. Dav, are you excited about cricket's greatest show? Because this is the 50-over format.
Yeah.
Not too many 50-over matches have been played in the last 1 year. And even the president of the MCC is saying that going forward, you perhaps are going to see 50-over matches only played once every 4 years at a World Cup.
That could happen, but yeah, I'm very excited, to be honest. You know, this time of the tournament, when everyone has their predictions and there's a lot of discussion going on, you know, we also project and think, you know, give you all the good mail and all that, but we could be wrong too. But it's exciting, and I really enjoy trying to predict all different things that you come up with.
Okay, we've been doing a lot of predictions. In case you're wondering where all that is, where you can get through to it, get onto our digital streams. Extensive build-up to all the teams, the game changers, the top batters, top bowlers, all of that, the pundit has predicted. Let's get straight to our preview package then. 10 teams ready to battle it out over 46 days with the world champion to be crowned on the 19th of November. In case you're wondering what the storylines are, let's remind you.
Goes again. Can he give the strike away? This is a big moment. They've got to run. They go to the other end.
The memories of the greatest World Cup final is still very much fresh.
Can you believe this? It has.
Ben Stokes and a farcical boundary countback rule breaking the hearts of New Zealand.
They've got to go.
That was ODI cricket's greatest moment, but the format itself is on life support due to the massive explosion of T20 cricket.
By the barest of all margins.
Mark Nicholas, the soon-to-be MCC president, believes ODI cricket should be played exclusively at World Cups. He said, and I quote, "We think it's difficult bilaterally now to justify them. They're not filling grounds in a lot of countries, and there is a power at the moment to T20 cricket that is almost supernatural. In a free market, the most money wins, and that's just the end game." Holders England enter the tournament as overwhelming favourites. The return of Stokes has boosted a squad that already has proven match winners. The Three Lions will aim to complete a three-peat of world titles after winning the T20 World Cup in 2022.
Really excited. I arrived here today and you're doing a little bit of media around the trophy. You see all the plaques on there of previous winners, and you know, for me personally, casts back to sort of 2003, being in the crowd at the final in Johannesburg, going to quite a few of the games in '99 when the World Cup was in England. So some of my fondest memories of growing up with cricket have been around the 50-over World Cup. So to be able to be a part of it and you know, see our name on that trophy as well, it certainly gets the juices flowing.
Hosts India have the squad and the home support to deny England that hat-trick. The men in blue have dominated bilaterals but haven't been able to win an ICC tournament since 2013. Mahendra Singh Dhoni ended a drought of sorts in 2011.
India lift the World Cup.
Lifting the World Cup in India, and many believe that Rohit Sharma could replicate that feat next month.
yeah, I think a lot of tick marks as well, you know, from that perspective. So yeah, really happy with the way things are going at the moment, and hopefully we can keep, we know we got to get better, we know we got to improve, but hopefully we can keep this momentum going into the World Cup.
Unlike India and England, Australia have flown under the radar and do not enter the ODI World Cup with a lot of momentum. The 5-time champions have lost back-to-back ODI series, but no one can have them down as pushovers. New Zealand have become the perennial bridesmaids at the marquee event. The Kiwis lost back-to-back finals but will look to bury the ghosts of the past, as it's also the last chance for the golden generation to get a piece of limited over silverware. The World Cup title has also eluded South Africa. The Proteas have been part of 8 editions but have failed to shed their choker stag. The world number 4 side have a decent squad and are being regarded as dark horses. It's a subcontinental World Cup, but Asian sides have struggled in the build-up. 1992 champions Pakistan have made their first trip to India after 7 years. They were the favourites to lift the Asia Cup, but did not even make it to the final. Sri Lanka's preparation hasn't been great either. They were hammered in the final of the Asia Cup by India. Bangladesh have been in the news, but not for sporting reasons. A public fallout between captain Shakib Al Hasan and former captain Tamim Iqbal has affected their preparations. The build-up to the marquee event hasn't been ideal. The schedule was announced just 100 days before the start of the tournament, and fans continue to grumble about a chaotic ticketing process. But hopefully, the cricket turns out to be exciting, just like the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Remember, the pre-tournament cynicism was forgotten when Lionel Messi lifted the iconic trophy in December. Sports Bureau, WION World is One.
Yes, the World Cup kicks off with England, the defending champions, taking on New Zealand, who, remember, didn't exactly lose the World Cup final at Lord's in 2019. Dav Whatmore is here with me. It's fair we talk about England straight up, defending champions. And this is something which is very interesting. We've asked Dav to give us his ideal England 11. This is what you've gone with. Johnny Bairstow, David Malan, Joe Root, Ben Stokes, Josh Butler, Liam Livingstone, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, Adil Rashid, Chris Wokes, Mark Wood. When I look at this, Dav, depth. I mean, what? They can bat down till Wokes, number 10.
Absolutely, but if there may be a change. If they feel that they've got enough batting, then Wokes might just give way to a full bowler. But he's a pretty good bowler anyway, isn't he? So, you know, if that's the only change I think may happen, but Wokes is just as good.
From Wokes, let's talk about Stokes. How big is it for them to get him back? They could still have won the World Cup without him, but this is what I want to talk to you about. Ben Stokes has this ability, this great ability to deliver when the chips are down.
Yeah, and he typifies the recent aggression mindset of England, whether it's the longest format, the shortest format, and now in the 50 over, 300 runs plus is not a problem for England, given that the wickets are okay. And he just typifies that aggression and that approach, that solid and quick batting approach that the team, you know, aspires to, and he's the one that leads it.
And also that winning mentality, which unfortunately, we're going to look at India's numbers now, and we need to look at India at ICC events. Unfortunately, that's a problem. This is your pick for India, and the way I look at it, 9 bases covered, just 2 spots up for grabs, right? Who bats at number 5 or 6, and who's going to play number 8, which is the all-rounder, or you go with Ashwin. The problem with India is home World Cup, big expectations, big expectations.
Yeah.
Is it mental, the fact that they've not won since 2013, a big tournament?
I would think so, yes. Any performance on the field, as I've always mentioned, it's played in the head. So, you know, some of the big matches, you've got to be really, really calm. The greater the game, the more basics you have to do correctly. And, you know, sometimes it's difficult for individuals. They're unable to cope with the occasion, no matter how good they are. And these guys are wonderful. You know,
These are world-class players.
Absolutely. If they can crack that magic of being able to absorb that pressure and erase all these distractions, they got a very good chance.
Okay, so you just look, since the last World Cup, England won the ODI World Cup, England are T20 world champions, Australia won the 2021 T20.
Yeah.
Now, not so much talk about Australia. You know, England and India were being favourites. But because they won 5, because they sort of have set the benchmark when it comes to being ruthless, is it difficult not to look at Australia as favourites?
I don't think they're favourites as such, but I don't think you can discount their ability to play in that last game. Because
but does it come down to that, Dav? Because the World Cup is 9 league games and then a semis and a final. Ultimately, it matters how you play those last 2 games.
Well, that's right. You've got to, first of all, get in that semi-final, and then, you know, in my opinion, the semi-final is always the hardest. Once you're in the final, it's a 2-horse race, and you can do it. But this team here, Australia, they're used to losing a few games as well along the way. So they're able to, you know, to understand it's another game. We've lost, but it's another game, and we have enough confidence in our own ability and trust in our own teammates to keep going and take the big one.
But they also have depth, because when you look at this squad which you've picked, the batting, okay, Travis Head is injured, but then you have these all-rounders. You have Mitchell Marsh, who's probably going to open. You have Cameron Green, you have Marcus Stoinis, you have Glenn Maxwell. Any other team who's playing this World Cup, they would walk into those teams.
Yeah, and they've had good depth in the past as well, in other World Cups, where they've won and lost a few along the way. So this is no different. And teams also, you know, other teams with good depth can lose. It's how you react to losing that counts.
Okay, so these are the 3 favourites we think for this World Cup. Dav and I have been talking over the last few days since he's been here, and we think that apart from these 3, then there are a couple of other teams which are in contention for that other spot in the semis. Let's talk about South Africa first.
Yeah.
Nobody is talking about South Africa, but I get a feeling, looking at the way they sort of came back against Australia from 2-0 down. Yes, they've lost Andre Nokia, but I just think that if they can sort of carry some momentum at the start of the tournament, then they themselves start to believe, because depth-wise, man-to-man, this is a very good squad.
It's pretty good, yeah, and I too was a little surprised in that last bilateral series in South Africa. Having gone 2-0 down, to come up and win it 3-2 was a special effort. Albeit it's home, but still I don't take anything away from the effort to do that. You know, it's not easy to beat Australia 3 games in a row. But having said that, you know, that gives them the confidence coming into the World Cup, but also not at a fever pitch where they've had the tag in previous World Cups. They're a really good team. You know, they should, you know, they've got every right to think they can win it, but they've choked and they haven't. This time around, they're coming a little bit lower, and I think it's a good thing, because even if they don't make the semis, well, then we're not supposed to make the semis, you know. But
what they have, you know, and you know, there's Temba Bavuma, Quinton de Kock, Rassie van der Dusen and Markram, that solidity, and if their game plan should be very simple, let's get to say the 35th over with say 160, 170 on board, and that gives time for these 2 gentlemen, David Miller and Heinrich Klaassen, to explode, and these boys can really go after the bowling.
Surely that must be a tactical thing to do, to try and achieve. You know, these other guys have to do their job, surely in the first 10 overs. De Kock will be a little bit aggressive, as he should be. Temba Bavuma might just, you know, hang around and they'll bat around him. So, you know, that would definitely be a tactical thing that they would have discussed, that we need to set it up for these 2 boys who are able to accelerate, and accelerate big.
Okay, let's talk about another team, another dark horse. Again, a bit under the radar. This is New Zealand. In fact, playing against England straight up. And every World Cup, not everyone takes New Zealand very seriously, but you know what? They're always there. They're always fighting. Even if they don't make the semis, they're 5th. So they're always battling, and that comes down to this lovely team ethic that they have.
That's right, and I'm a little guilty of that too, because originally I thought, yeah, they'll be in the 4. But I'm rethinking, and I've come back to the conclusion that, you know, along with South Africa and Pakistan, they could make up the last spot in the semi-finals. So again, I'm maybe a little guilty of considering them as, but I tell you what, the only big name there, or a couple of big names, is Williamson and Trent Boult.
Yeah.
The rest are good, solid, disciplined players who understand the situation and play accordingly. And they trust each other and they play for each other, and they're very much team ethic orientated, and they've had great results. So, please do not take them lightly, but teams still do that.
Okay, now when you talk about teams which fight for each other, which sort of scrap for each other, let's talk about a team you've coached, Pakistan. Is it frustrating for you each time you don't know which Pakistan turns up? Because again, they were number 1 in the world going into the Asia Cup, finished 4th. So again, there's an issue over there. Either they have a very good top order, they have a very good pace attack, but it's those middle overs which perhaps is pulling them down.
Perhaps so. Yes, it is frustrating, to answer your question. Very frustrating, because there are certain games and certain days they look unbeatable. They're really good. When you're good, you're very, very good. When you're bad, you're horrid. That's the sort of phrase I think of with Pakistan. They are very talented, no question about that, but their consistency is not what they would want it to be. So whilst I've got the talent and whilst I've got the skill, sometimes the mental side of their game goes missing, and all of a sudden they're in big trouble. They've lost a lot of wickets, or they're bowling horribly, and sometimes their fielding can be off as well. So, things need to go well for them too.
But do you get a feeling? See, they've come to India after a very long time. Just 2 players in the squad have actually toured India before. Do you get a feeling, hearing what Babar Azam is saying, the team is saying, the India match they're already looking forward to? Do you get a feeling they're getting carried away by the occasion and not by the task at hand, which is win game 1, win game 2, go into the India match, perhaps win that, carry momentum into the business end? That's
what they'll be saying in team meetings, no question. You take it game by game. We need to win this, and this is how we're going to do it. But when it comes to making public comments, I think that's understandable. That's predictable. That
you're feeding the hype.
We are looking forward to the big ground with 120,000 people, a lot of Indians screaming for their home team. We're not going to shy away from it. We are going to attack that game, and we're looking forward to it. So I think that was, that was understandable for him to say that. But inwardly and privately, their meetings will be the same as most other teams, how they are going to plot a victory.
Okay. We've looked at 6 teams. You have won a World Cup with Sri Lanka. Surprised they're not in this list of yours in terms of who's going to contend, but they're a team in transition.
They are, and they'll surprise a few teams, I think. Sadly, at the moment, their batting is a little susceptible. Even the other day, when they scored 300 plus, one batsman, Mendes, got 150, and the rest didn't quite chip in as much, and there was a lot of negative comments about that.
Does it frustrate you to see that team? Because there was a period till at least 2016, 2017 when Sangakkara was still around. They were difficult to beat.
They were, and they were finalists for 2 consecutive World Cup, in recent times. So look, it just upsets me a little bit, because they got the talent. They just need to be stronger mentally. Okay. And just ensure that they do enough to take it right to the end, and they could win a few. Okay,
I'm out of time, so I'm going to put you on the mat. Your 4 semi-finalists, and who do you think is going to win this? Very quickly.
So we got England, India. I have to go with Australia, and I think one of the other 3, I'm going to punt for New Zealand.
Okay, he's gone with the safe option. Perhaps you could have gone with South Africa or Pakistan. That would make it interesting, the business end. So that's Dav Whatmore's prediction. Tell us what you think, because Dav Whatmore is going to be on WION over the next 7 weeks. Write to us, text us on social media. We'll get your comments to Dav, and if he deems them interesting, he's going to answer them on live television. Also, programming reminder, special preview to the first game of the World Cup at 1300 IST on WION. Dav is going to set up England versus New Zealand. Remember the final 4 years ago that no one won. This is WION World of Cricket.